iPhone 7 in 2022. After almost 6 years, is it still worth it? Hi everyone, this is JD, your gadget review friend. This phone was released 6 years ago in 2016. And fast forward 6 years, we still have the iPhone SE 2022 with the same look, just different build and internals. This phone is still really good. Of course, it's not for heavy users, but for casual use. If you want to use the services for Apple like iTunes for music, iMessages, or Facetime, this is the cheapest iPhone that will give you a decent performance. So today, I'll give you the reasons why you need to own it in 2022, the challenges of using it, and my recommendations. Okay, so let's talk about the reasons to own this phone in 2022. First, obviously, it has the same design as iPhone SE 2022. Again, the only difference is the back cover. You can even fit a case of iPhone 7 and iPhone SE 2022. It's 1:1 ratio. So if you put a case on this, no one's gonna notice that you're using an older phone. Next is the aluminum back cover. If you decide to use this without a case, the back will scratch but it won't break. Of course, metal is the hardest material, so you don't have to worry showing off the good-looking back with that Apple logo. The next reason is iOS 15.5. This iPhone still receives iOS 15.5. I'm not sure if it will receive the iOS 16, but right now, it will perform similar to the newer iPhone in most cases. All apps will still work on this phone. Everything is updated. The next reason is the Apple ecosystem and services. If you love music and want to buy songs from Apple Music, this is a good iPod Touch or iPad alternative. You also have the blue bubble on your messaging if you're responding to another Apple user. And of course, you have the FaceTime functionality for video calls. The next reason is it can record 4K video recording. So if you want a cheap alternative for a decent vlogging phone, you know that this phone can record high-quality 4K videos. The camera is decent, it doesn't have a night shot, but even images taken from this iPhone is good enough. Next is the Touch ID, and I cannot stress this enough. I still feel it's the best unlocking method of any phone. Since we are using our fingers to type and navigate our phones, it is also perfect biometric identification. I remember that Face Unlock has some issues during pandemic, so just imagine the Touch ID users not having the same issue. And lastly, the cheaper price. This is almost the same price as iPhone 8, which will give you wireless charging and maybe one more software upgrade, but I think this is a bit cheaper than that. So if you really don't need the wireless charging functionality, you can still cut a little bit on the price and get this phone. Okay, so next let's talk about the challenges you will encounter of using this phone. The first issue or challenge is the battery life. It is less than 2000 milliamperes, so if you involve science, even though Apple places a tons of battery saving measures, you will have a limited screen on time of using this phone. Next, there's no wireless charging. As I mentioned earlier, it doesn't have a wireless charging. If that is important to you or you have Qi wireless charger, this phone will not support that. The next challenge you will encounter is this phone only has a decent performance. 2016 is not a year of heavy games. Games before are relatively simple and small, doesn't require team plays or online connectivity. This phone is not for heavy games like what we have on 2022. And for our last issue, this phone might suffer from bent gate. Although the construction is aluminum, but there are weak areas on the phone. If you accidentally sit on it or force to bend a little bit, it might result to a bent gate. But all in all, just minor issues, this is still a good phone for casual use. And lastly, recommendations. I will not recommend this to people who needs a phone for heavy use. Obviously, this is not created for that back in 2016, where phones are more for communication and productivity. Also, if you need a long-lasting iPhone, you might find this phone a little frustrating. And I'll recommend this to anyone who wants a cheap phone, maybe a first-time iPhone user. This is a good phone to gauge if you want to grow in iOS ecosystem. This is also the cheapest way to get all the services and brag about that blue iMessaging bubble and FaceTime. This is a great phone for those functions. This will save you a lot of money. iPhone 7 or 7 Plus isn't the fastest and the latest iPhone from Apple. A 6 years old that looks like an iPhone SE 2022 that serves a definite purpose. My answer is yes. For casual users, iPhone 7 is still worth it. And there you go. Hope you enjoyed this video. I will continue to compare this phone, maybe the iPhone SE 2022, so stay tuned. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.